Okay, let's do about 4 examples here quick, just naming the property used. Say for example, I have 2 plus 7 equals n plus 7, okay? The book might have it switched, or your assignment might have that switched. I think it's easier just to actually find the value of n. So here, obviously, n would have to be 2. 2 plus 7 equals 2 plus 7, right? So I would just say, for an answer, n equals 2, maybe semicolon, all right? And then what property says 2 plus 7 equals 2 plus 7? That's our reflexive property. Reflexive says the same thing equals the same thing. Kind of like with 7 equals 7. Well, 2 plus 7 equals 2 plus 7. Okay? So B, let's do a B here. How about n plus 0 equals 5/8? Well, I want to put a fraction there just to show you don't need to be afraid. It has to be 5/8. 5/8 plus nothing is 5/8. So here we go. So I would say n equals 5/8. What property says that when you add 0 to a number, you get that number? That is the additive identity. Shorten her up a little bit. Alright. Not too bad. How about this one? N times 12 equals 0. Okay? Well, we all know that if you multiply two numbers together and you get 0, one of them better be 0. In this case, n is equal to 0 because 0 times 12 is 0. And that is multiplicative property of 0. NPOS. Alright. And let's do one more quick. How about this one? This one seems to get people stumped. How can I multiply a number by another number and get a smaller number? That's weird. Well, you can. It is what? If I take 5 times 1/5, it's the reciprocal one, n equals 1/5, I should get 1, and that is the multiplicative of mult inverse. Okay. Just to show you, 5 times 1/5. Remember you were taught to put 1 underneath that? You certainly can. These cross reduce to 1s equals 1. We're just kind of putting it all together. This is the last thing we're going to do today. We're going to evaluate this expression, and then we're going to name each property we used in each step. Okay, this is kind of what you're going to be doing next year in geometry with proofs. You have to justify with a theorem why this statement you made is true. So, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to use our order of operations. What do I do first? What do I do first? And every time you do an operation, you have to rewrite the whole thing. I know, I'm not going to make you do 100 of these, but a few of them you can do. Alright, well I'm going to look to the parentheses. What do I do inside the parentheses? Division or subtraction? Well, I'm going to use division. Okay, so that's the one thing I'm going to do right now. 6 times 1, 6, plus 5 times 3 minus 3. Okay? 12 divided by 4 is 3. So, what I did in this case, what property did I use? I basically replaced this expression with what it was equal to, and that's our substitution. So that was substitution. Right. Next thing, I gotta do parentheses again. So 6 times 1, 6, plus 5 times 3 minus 3 we know is 0. Okay? But if I write it as 3 plus a negative 3, you can see that that is actually the additive inverse. So additive inverse was the property used there. Okay, that's a tricky one. That's a tricky one. Okay, so what do I do next? So nothing to do with those parentheses. I have multiplication, addition, and another multiplication. Okay, so let's do left to right. Here, I'm going to do this multiplication first. 6 times 1 6 is 1. Plus 5 times 0. Well, what property says if I take a number multiplied by its reciprocal, I get 1? That's right, multiplicative inverse. Alright, next thing I do multiplication by order of operations. So it's 1 plus 0. 5 times 0 is 0. That's m pos, multiplicative property of 0. And then the last step, 1 plus 0 we know is 1. Okay. What property says I can take a number, add 0 to it, and I get that number? That's the additive identity. The end.